All right, well, hello. Here we are. We're sitting with Miss Hanifah Brown, one of my favorite people in the world.
Oh, yay.
So, very happy to have you here.
I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, we've known each other for a while, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say I don't know your whole background. I know a little bit of it, right? But I don't know the whole story. I don't even know how you got into real estate. So, if you want to tell us where you're from, how you ended up in Arizona, how you got into real estate, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So I am originally from Boston. I moved to Arizona with my parents. It was kind of,
I didn't know that.
yeah, it wasn't my choice, but nonetheless, I've learned to grow to love this place. It's so beautiful. Things are growing, which is one of the reasons why I really enjoy doing what I do now in real estate.
How old were you when you came from Boston?
Now you know you can do math. Moving into high school.
So junior high-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what, 13, 14, something? Like
Yeah,
that?
13. So
You left all your friends, all your family.
yeah.
They're like, we're going
Moved to the wild, wild west.
They're like, we're going to AZ,
Cried about it.
across the country.
Exactly. So it was
Did they get
definitely
job transfer or something, or what?
Yeah, my dad pretty much made the decision to move out here, and so we followed suit.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you and how many siblings?
I have 5 other sisters.
That's right.
Yeah.
All girls?
All girls.
And where do you land?
I am second oldest.
Oh.
So
So you're the caretaker of the crew, pretty much.
kind of. I think I have some type of authority, but then I'm kind of not on the hook because I'm not the oldest.
You're the one below.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. So all you guys moved out here.
We all moved out here
To where?
to Scottsdale.
Okay.
So that's where I went to high school. It's my stomping ground. Went to college out here.
ASU? Mm-hmm. Boo. They wouldn't let you in U of A, or what happened?
Oh, wow. So yeah, I mean, I've grown to love Arizona. It's changed so drastically over the years. So
Crazy growth.
crazy growth, but some really, really good things. I did get into real estate in 2014. That's when I got my license.
Okay.
Prior to, I started in the mortgage industry.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
So you went to ASU, what'd you graduate with?
So my degree is in transformational psychology.
Oh, okay. That explains a lot.
It does
Try
explain
to work
a
your
lot.
magic on me a few times, I think.
Well, it helps me to break down problems,
Right.
and real estate is a people business.
Absolutely.
So definitely applying all that I learned there to help digress some situations, and it allows for ease in transactions. So
Cool.
yeah.
So you graduated with that, and then you rolled straight into the mortgage space?
So I got started in the mortgage industry when I was 18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
How'd that happen?
I started off at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage as a head specialist. I was in the closing department. I've always been a great talker.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
I pretty much worked my way into that position, started from the bottom.
Started like a checker, teller, or something, and then.
No, always in mortgage.
Okay,
So
okay,
never
gotcha,
as a
gotcha.
banker. Yeah. Wells Fargo Home Mortgage was my first ride there, and then I pretty much moved my way up to processing. I went over to Bank of America. I was there for 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, Bank of America Home Mortgage.
Where'd you work? Like what location?
The Chandler Boulevard location.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did processing, underwriting QA.
All loan types, or any specific types of loans?
All loan types.
Yeah.
Started when Bank of America had been, they purchased Countrywide.
Yep.
So 2008. Saw a lot of transitions
Right.
in the mortgage industry. So
That was crazy. I remember that time. I was in the mortgage space, and I remember when Countrywide folded and rolled up under B of A. But yeah, Countrywide had some good loans. Fast and Easy was
Yep.
one of my favorites.
Oh,
Yeah. I like things fast and easy.
yeah, you were in the lending space then, correct?
Yeah.
So you know
Oh, yeah.
how things were.
So that was what, 2008? Mm-hmm. So that was when stuff started getting real sideways, right?
Yep, that's when we had the whole Reform Act. Did a lot. I got pushed into mortgage servicing then.
Right, just
So-
to handle all the blow off of the REO stuff, or,
Yep,
or
exactly.
what? In the
REO.
short sale department?
Exactly. So,
Wow, explain that to us. How was that?
it was fun, but I got a good, I would say a good bandwidth of experience there.
Right. Yeah. You saw the down and dirty,
Loss
right?
mitigation.
Oh yeah. So were you like making calls on what they're gonna accept as far as short sales and those type of things, or what were you doing exactly?
Initially, they had moved me over to loss mitigation, so just taking those calls from the homeowners who were looking to get a modification, pushing that over to processing, and then I moved over to processing myself.
So you're doing mostly note mods?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Were a lot of those getting approved at that time? I'm sure they weren't trying to foreclose or short, so they're probably ready to modify.
It's hard to say what a lot is. So there was definitely a variance. One of our, well, I shouldn't give the background. I was going to say one of our favorite lines was, "It's not up to us," right? You just run their information. You're filling out, income based off of how far behind they are, and then also who their original loan is with, right? Like there was some
servicer dictated.
Yep, what got approved and what didn't, because they had their own criteria. So
was that all locally, or are you dealing nationwide?
Yeah, nationwide. Yeah, pretty big mortgage company, so they were servicing a lot.
Right. So I mean, the volume of people trying to apply for those had to be just insane.
It was insane, but it's great because it pretty much translates, right? Like when you look at the different markets, you can have a successful market when we're looking at 2018, 19, even into 20, where things are booming, and then you have your market where you have opportunity. So just understanding that no matter what, real estate is going to be an up and down. For the most part, it tends to climb, right? But you may not always have those highs. So understanding the opportunity in the market and seeing how to shift, that's really what it gave me as perspective there, because I saw a wide range of situations in I would say a short amount of time. I'm
For sure.
fairly young,
I mean, I know a lot of people that went through that, or were children of parents that went through that stuff, are all waiting for this huge real estate crash and big opportunity. I think we're on like a 14-year run or something of a
insane.
bullish market, like the longest one in history. So historically, we should see some sort of decline, but I feel like there's still a huge, inventory shortage, a lot of demand for certain areas.
True.
I mean, apartments are going up everywhere. There's affordability issues, all kinds of fun stuff. So I don't know.
Well, we're in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
So you take into consideration that we kind of have our own bubble. So you have the economic conditions of what's happening in the country, but then we also have kind of like a geopolitical space here too, where we have, we do a little bit better on taxes. So
better than most, right?
Yes.
More tax-friendly state for
exactly.
For
so you
business,
have a lot
property
of business
tax, all that stuff. Yeah.
Precisely. Yeah. So it's definitely still allowing for growth here, which is exciting.
You're processing, loss mitigation, doing note mods. Like, how long were you doing that, and then what'd you transition into?
I did that for about 2 years, transitioned into underwriting, and then underwriting QA. That was probably the duration of my term there at Bank of America.
So you're physically underwriting what type of loans?
All origination. So no
FHA,
refis.
VA, conventional. You're doing all that stuff?
Yep.
Wow.
And then moved over to QA, where we pretty much did quality assurance to make sure everything was in compliance. There was a need for that, of course, with
a lot of sloppy loans that went through, and a lot of crackdowns, right?
Yeah, gotta love that. So
loan officers actually had to get licensed, I think, around that time point.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Isn't that interesting?
I know.
That's funny, but yeah, that did happen, and it was during that time frame.
Yeah.
So, yep.
First started, I was 22 years old. I had senior loan officer on my business card. It was awesome. No licensing. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I never did. I never did originate. I was never a loan officer. So
you did all the back end stuff. Some of the biggest originators started in the back end processing, underwriting, all that stuff, because you know how to put a loan together. Then it's just, you could have done well, I'm sure, interfacing with the customer. You can come work with us if you want to.
Yeah.
You still can.
Ended up paying my license through a company called Exit Realty.
Yeah.
They're big. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah.
They're big on the East Coast. But not so much here in Arizona.
They were for a little while, had some space, but I don't see much of them anymore.
Yeah, at the time when I
did a big
had my
exit.
license,
They're out.
Wow, edit that out too.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they were great people. And then I ended up going over to North & Co. with Brian North. Great guy, great company. And they required me. They were like, there's no way we would accept a part-time agent. Yeah, they were like, you need to be full-time. And so that's when I was like, okay, I'm doing this. Quit the job, went full-time, hung my license, felt good, and actually started making money.
Yeah.
it was like mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wow. All this time I was doubting myself, thinking, oh, I need to save. But once you get the pressure on, I think like
Once your back's against the wall, you
yeah.
gotta perform, right?
Yep.
And
So
you
it was
had
a
a
blessing.
daughter too to support, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh,
So,
baby.
yeah. So that's a big risk for you to take out of your W-2 job and then go full-time in straight commission real estate
Yeah,
that
it was
you
a
did
big
one
risk.
deal.
At the time, I was in a relationship, and my partner was like, "If you're gonna do this, like, you know, like you have me as support." So
That
I
helped,
still,
yeah.
I felt comfortable with being able to do that. Although, you know, like coming from where I was coming from, and where I was raised, it's like you don't really feel comfortable saying like, "Hey, you know, if I need something."
Right.
So I put the fire underneath myself, and I took off with it.
So like insurance, all that stuff, you're just like, hey, I'm good.
So that's the biggest lie I feel like they tell you as an
Right.
entrepreneur is, oh, insurance, like it's going to be so expensive. I was so afraid. That was like my biggest point of contention. And then, of course, they start spamming you like, oh, you know, realtors get a discount, blah, blah, blah. Found insurance, and I ended up paying like, I want to say maybe like $90 more than what I was paying with the bank. And I actually had a better plan, which is interesting. So
I know that's an interesting point. It's a big scare tactic.
It's
like,
a
how am I getting
big
insurance?
scare
I can't leave my job.
tactic.
I can't leave my W-2. But yeah, go to what healthcare.gov and there's a million plans. You can get, you know, United Healthcare, Aetna, whoever you want, Blue Cross. That's who I got. United Healthcare. I just go straight on there and fill it out.
And you're
so,
done.
Yeah, not a big deal.
So it worked out. It worked out. And here I am, 10 years later.
Wow. So you said you started getting busy. Like, what do you think the key factor was for you to like start getting busy when a lot of agents struggle and don't know what to do?
To be honest
besides
with
motivation.
I do want to give credit to Brian and his company. When I first started there, they were doing really well with agent training and then the classes that they were providing, and really seeing how he you know, broke down negotiations. They were doing negotiation classes. He would do walkthroughs through like a lot of property in Arcadia, you know, understanding the finishes and understanding, you know, the end product of what clients really would be looking for. It wasn't just like throw you out to the fire. Like I learned a lot there. I really did. So
yeah, he's been a good mentor to a lot of people.
I definitely want to give him his credit for that. And then they grew astronomically, and then I was like, who am I?
So then you jumped to the agency.
Yeah, because I knew I wanted to
you.
do luxury. Yeah, Wendy introduced us, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Wendy Walker. I love her.
Yeah, she's great. I just had happy hour with her the other day. Caught up. Awesome lady.
Yep, and that's when it took off. From the time that I met you, it was like up from there, right?
Yeah. So then you did the you know, residential thing for a little while, or a while actually. What, like 8 years?
Yeah, 8 years.
Yep.
And then the latter 2 have been going on 2 years here in the
commercial
space. Yeah.
Which is cool. It's a big transition. A lot of people
transition.
always want to do that, but they don't understand the undertaking. The sales cycle is much longer, much more sophisticated dealings. You know, you're dealing with business people, all kinds of crazy things, right? So what do you think the biggest challenge, or what made you jump from residential to commercial?
So I did want to move over to the commercial space, and I kind of delayed that process in doing my research and finding a company to move over to because of what happened with the pandemic.
Right.
So by the time that I decided,
COVID, all commercial kind of chilled, right? Yeah.
I'm like, I want to get into commercial. So I started looking at brokerages, and all of a sudden, that's when, you know, everything happened in 2019 into 2020. And I had so many people reach out like, hey, I'm looking for this property, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. So I got pulled back into residential. It was too hard to, you know, turn down. It was like
you just got to grab it.
Yeah.
So. That started turning into a real hot market. And you're actually working 2 markets, right? You're working in Florida and Arizona, which is interesting.
I had just gotten licensed in Florida during that time, actually during the pandemic. So.
What was your connection there? What made you do that?
I was traveling back and forth a lot. I spent a lot of time there growing up, so I was familiar with South Florida, Fort Lauderdale specifically. And then I had referred so many deals out to agents in Florida, and then after about like the 6th one, I'm like,
just do this myself.
Yeah, I'm like, that's
a big leap though. That's a long ways away.
Well, considering the fact that I actually, you know, traveled back and forth, I'm like, I might as well start monetizing this. And
well, that's cool.
You know,
So what was the biggest difference between that market and this market? I mean, they're
would
pretty
say
similar, but
there are very
yeah.
similar markets due to the fact that we have a high population of like retirement communities in both states. Obviously,
weather,
weather
minus
would be,
hurricanes.
yeah. I would say the weather is semi-similar minus the natural disasters, right? If anything, we might get a haboob here, whatever that is.
Dust storms,
Yeah,
broken
but it
trees.
clears up fairly quickly. There, you're experiencing hurricanes, so I feel like people are just familiar with it there, though. It's like we look at it in Arizona as like, oh my God, see what's happening. But people who live in the state, they're like,
no big
just
deal.
another day. Yeah, heavy rain.
Yeah, I just got flooded out and my house demolished, but no big deal. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's happened a few times. Let's do it again.
Yeah, they love it. And they have a great system for turning that around, right? Obviously, when you have a state that is
Used to it.
continuously, hit by something like that, the recovery period is fairly quick. So
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So back to commercial. So now you're in the commercial space, and now you're operating in both states.
Operating in both states.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of deals are you doing? What's exciting you in the commercial space right now?
So here in Arizona, I work the healthcare office market.
Okay.
So
It's
anything
pretty
that has
big here, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So my ideal client would be like a physician, dentist,
Looking to be owner operator.
owner occupied.
Occupied. Yeah.
Surgical centers, or even investment properties, right? If I run into an investor who's looking for space to pretty much build out and
Lease to back to dentists, doctors, all
exactly,
that stuff.
that would be ideal. I also work with a developer based out of Tampa in Florida, and that's the retail space. So we do build to suit, ground up, so a lot of land deals there.
Okay. Like what kind of retail clients, if you're allowed to disclose?
I don't know if I should
Talk
disclose,
about
but
it.
they're pretty, they're pretty
big
solid.
names. Yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
That's cool. So, as far as the deals you're finding, the opportunities, are you sourcing them most on LoopNet or other sources? Are you going direct to sellers, or what are you doing?
Direct to sellers, a lot of networking.
Explain commercial too, because there's LoopNet and there's one other platform that
Crexy,
right?
CoStar is what we use
CoStar.
primarily. LoopNet is the customer interfacing portal for CoStar. CoStar is more of the internal system.
Okay. So just for our knowledge, like once deals get on LoopNet, it's not really a deal because everyone and their mother's probably seen it, right?
Exactly.
Most of the good deals are on
And this
would be
is
on
why
CoStar.
it's important to have a broker,
Right.
because
Yeah,
we'll
huge.
have access to a lot of properties, whether they're off market or on market. We'll have access to them, and even if they're on market, it doesn't mean they're on LoopNet or Crexy, because
Right.
it's just another service that someone would have to pay for in order to advertise there. So a lot of the stuff is missed.
Yeah, commercial is much more of who you know
It's
kind of
definitely who you
thing,
know,
right?
yeah.
And it's not so public, can have access to everything and
Yeah.
put the deals together.
And then you'll have a lot of owners who, they don't want to necessarily list. So it's like, once again, that network.
Yeah, they don't want to blast everywhere like, hey, I'm selling this, because it could disrupt some, like employees eat a lot of things, right? So
Exactly.
if an
For
owner's-
multiple reasons.
Yeah, owner's saying he's selling his
more
building, all the
private.
employees are worried about their jobs.
Exactly.
And,
You have to be strategic about that. So.
Is the whole business selling? Is it just the building? Like all that stuff, right?
Yep.
Interesting. So like the whole new NAR stuff that just flipped for residential, that's already been going on for a long time in commercial space, right? So you guys never advertise a co-broke fee. It's all negotiable, right?
It's all negotiable.
Yeah.
In that the NAR ruling didn't affect commercial,
Yeah.
so it's we're
Same-
still
same
operating as normal.